Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got something a little different. A handful of knives I picked up from AliExpress. These range from a fixed blade all the way to some very familiar looking folders. Some were surprisingly decent, others not so much. Let's dive in. This is the first one I tried. A no-name fixed blade. And honestly, not bad. The blade came fairly sharp, the grind was decent, and it feels really solid in hand. Now, it's not a premium steel or anything. It's actually DC53, which is, I guess, a slightly elevated equivalent of D2 if we're lucky. But for a beater or backup in a bag, I've seen much worse at double the price. I paid $32 for this, and honestly, it's pretty solid. Questionable steel aside, it has a really nice Kydex taco sheath with really great retention, has an adequate belt sheath, has really nice burlap micarta handle scales, and a really nice blade shape. It's extremely comfortable in hand, and the ergos are great, even though it lacks any spine jimping. And overall, I think it's a pretty good value for the price. Yeah, don't get me wrong, there are a few cons. Now, I'm not a fan of this random mystery steel that's already rusting with very little use up here next almost to the spine. And I've not even had this near water or really any moisture, so I'm not really sure why it's rusting, so it's kind of frustrating. Overall, for a random Chinese fixed blade, I think it's pretty decent. I think it's just a really attractive fixed blade, and I'd love to have a more premium one that was around half the size. So far, we're off to a good start. However, it slowly goes downhill from here. Next up, the Sebenzas clones. Yes, they're out there. Now, I think we need a quick ethics disclaimer. Just to be clear, these are clones. Some people are totally against them, and I absolutely get that. I bought these to test and review, not to endorse counterfeit gear. If you're looking for the real thing, try to support the actual makers when you can. So let's take a look at these guys. I have three here, and they range from serviceable to absolute garbage. I have these in the order of their price, as the first one here just cost under $20, while the middle was around under $25, and followed by the last one, which is just under $40. First up is actually the cheapest of the lot. This one is made up of all stainless steel, which means it's fairly heavy. This one came rather dull, but a quick sharpening job later, and it's able to hold a razor edge, and surprisingly enough, holds an edge very well. After my quick sharpening job, I've kept this one on my desk for packages and random tasks, and I've yet to touch it up, and it's still crazy sharp. Like the authentic Sebenza, the action on this isn't anything crazy, and I have trouble sometimes giving it even a good flick on this. Yet when you manage it, it kind of flies out fairly nicely. Overall, this one is nothing special. The stainless steel handles make it really heavy, and it also attracts fingerprints. This one feels like a Sebenza in shape only. It's got the lines, but the action is gritty, materials are basic, and overall it's pretty heavy for its size. If you just want the look on a shelf, sure. As an EDC, I would skip it. Pretty poor, honestly. Up next is the large Sebenza clone, and this one is probably the worst of the bunch. Once again, this is made of steel all the way around, and it is so freaking heavy. Though we have this nice design on the handle, there is various imperfections throughout the scales, with little divots, blemishes, and even scratches. It's hard to convey just how cheap and bad this knife feels in hand. I mean, just look how loose these thumb studs are. Due to the heft of the blade, I really have to give it some extra oomph to even get it to deploy. At least the lockup is fairly solid. It is also worth noting that this pocket clip is a whole different design than the other Sebenzas. And this one's just a very simple fold over clip. And I want to show you something. This clip came this way. It is so loose, I can push it all the way to the side, or I could push it on that lock bar, and now I can't even deploy the blade because the tension of that pocket clip on that lock bar. I mean, this knife is just garbage. Honestly, this is one of the worst knives I've handled in quite a long time. Absolutely skip it. The last Sebenza up happens to be the nicest one, which makes sense. This one carries the largest price tag. This one looks the closest to the real thing and actually kind of surprised me. We finally lose the steel for titanium, and along with that comes a much cleaner and sleeker look, along with finally being a reasonable weight. The titanium is a much welcome change, and it feels rather nice in hand. This one actually feels solid and has a much smoother action. The action on this one is night and day compared to the others and flies out and closes without too much difficulty. It is worth noting that this one did not come centered and it favors the show side just a little bit. Now, this is not a true Chris Reeve quality, obviously, but for a titanium budget folder, it could be a fairly fun modding platform. However, if you have your eyes really set on a Sebenza but cannot afford the heavy price tag, I would advise against these clones and instead grab yourself a Land 9103 or a Rake P801 on Amazon, as the build quality will be much better and you aren't buying a blatant clone. Now, you thought I was done with clones, and unfortunately, I just have one more. While on AliExpress, I also stumbled across this Benchmade Proper clone, and I decided to check it out and see how bad it could be. Unfortunately, it's actually rather solid. The micarta feels really great, everything is flush without any gaps or rough edges, and the action and walk and talk is what you'd expect. However, this one's kind of a mixed bag. Not only does it contain a Benchmade logo, it also has a marking saying it's S30V, which I can promise you it's not, and it even boldly claims that this is a first production 191 out of 1,000. Wow, what a collectible, right? I find it so crazy they would lie this many times on just one little knife. It's kind of scary how solid this clone is, and it kind of makes me want to try an authentic one in the future. All right, we're finally done with the clones. Last up is a super tiny traditional slip joint, kind of like something your grandpa might have carried in his watch pocket. And honestly, it's kind of charming. It has decent walk and talk, fit and finish is acceptable for the price, it has these cute little yellow scales. It would make a really cool coin pocket or backup knife. I added this small paracord lanyard just to give it a little bit more purchase just because it's so dang small. I believe I got this one for under $11. I think it's just too cool. This is razor sharp out of the box, and it actually cut me deeper than any other knife I've ever owned. I think the yellow and bronze combo just looks so good. It's just a fun little knife to either throw in your pocket or even on your keychain due to this little lanyard hole. So ultimately, what's the verdict? AliExpress is a total mixed bag. You can get some decent blades for cheap, but quality control is just all over the place. If you're buying for curiosity or for modding, it's not the worst. But if you want something you can rely on daily, you're probably better off saving up for a known brand. If you like this kind of content, testing budget blades or weird gear, hit that like button and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you want to see next. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.